rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 103 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. Be the person you want to be. Life is short, and for those of you listening, most of you are over 40, over 50. And if you're younger, well, then you're just smarter than the rest, and you got to us sooner, which is good. But life is short. Life is going to go by faster and faster. So many things are happening. There's so many things going on. And, we have to fight to make sure that we take care of ourselves spiritually, physically, emotionally. And, to that end, ideally, that's what we're trying to do is keep improving and make the most of the second half of our life, right? And become more fulfilled. And part of that is becoming or being the person you want to be. To do that, you really need to sit down and figure out who is it you want to be. What part of you do you really like? And you want that to be the person that's present all the time, right? That is something very few people ever focus on. In fact, most people are just miserable with their lives. They're walking around unhappy, unfulfilled. They're the ones that always have something negative to say. They're the ones that are always, oh yeah, but I got this and I got that. And you don't get it, man. And I don't know how many fucking times people tell me that shit, like how I don't understand. And I'm like, well, how could I not be on this planet and not understand the same stuff that everyone else is going through? Because at one point or the other, gone through it worse than some people in certain things, much worse. And not as bad as some people who've had it even worse. But when people are stuck in that negativity, when they're stuck in that whole world of unhappy, right? It's all about them. And ideally, guys, it's all about us, right? We worry about ourselves and our happiness and our things like that. But at the same token, we want to abdicate a lot of that responsibility and blame outside and external forces for the reasons. I'm not lucky. This happened. My parents were this. This happened to me when I was younger. And guys, that's all true. I guarantee you, for a lot of people, it's all true. I was watching a show the other day where this young girl was just 15, and she was traumatized because her mother wanted to didn't want to give her $2,500 a month allowance, and she was truly traumatized and upset about it. Right? And she truly believed that. And at the end of the day, pause this for a second. And go. So yeah, I got to pick up where I left off, where Luke and I are recording at my house. And out of the corner of my eye, I just saw a guy walk in my backyard towards my pool. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I realized it's the pool guy coming to open up the pool and stuff. So if this seems a little choppy, what time that where I left off, it's because of that. So, at the end of the day, if we're not doing what we really want to be doing, we're not going to be happy. But you can't do what you really want to do and be what you really want to be or be who you really want to be if you don't sit down and figure that shit out, right? So sometimes we're so caught up in the day-to-day and all the pressures of our lives that we can't get to it. But I also believe that for a lot of people, they surround themselves with all that stress and all that noise not to have these conversations with themselves. Because these are scary conversations. These are uncomfortable conversations to have with ourselves, right? And I think that is what holds a lot of people back, because the realization that they might be living a life that is truly making them unhappy scares people. I think it scares them because they're afraid of what they currently have. They don't want to lose. I also think that, quite honestly, in the human nature part of it is that they're just also content with, I don't like it, but at the same time, that's a whole lot of work. And I think the work scares people, right? I think that intimidates a lot of people. Like, what's that going to be like? I'm not saying fucking sell everything, go live in a cardboard box, right? Although some people have done that. Walk away from your family and just start another one. I think that's ridiculous, right? I think that's not the message I'm putting out there. And if you're doing that, you're a fucking douche. But what I'm saying is, though, if you're in a career or a job or even a business that you truly don't like, but you're doing it because it pays the bills, or you're doing it because you're just caught up in the day-to-day, then that's the issue you have to look at. when we're unhappy and we're walking around just miserable, what's going to happen is we're going to try and solve that. But we're going to try and solve it with immediate things. We're going to medicate ourselves. We're going to medicate ourselves with booze and drugs and shopping and sex and Netflix. And you know what? Most of those things aren't bad. It's what we're using them for that becomes the issue overall, right? And the thing is, if we're doing that just to dull the pain and the hurt we have inside of us because we're not happy and we're not doing the work that needs to be done to truly fix that, then that becomes the issue, right? What the fuck's going on? We've had 37 interruptions on this one episode, Luke. I think we just set a record so far. That's right. We're only halfway through. So the struggle for a lot of us is to be honest with ourselves and take some time and look at things and look at ourselves, look deep down. Because here's the thing, and you hear people say this all the time. You can do anything you put your mind to it. And I honestly think that's true. I think it's just when you put some focus and some energy and some consistency towards anything, it's amazing what you can accomplish, right? And I think that is something we need to hold on to, we need to understand, and we need to believe in. And in doing that, things start to happen. One of the things I think that's, always been since I've been working hard on this stuff. I've always been a positive guy. Most of you guys that know me and stuff will always say, yeah, Kurt's positive. He's always got, something funny to say and stuff. And that's how I truly believe I am and how I want to be. And I think that's how I am most of the time. But we all have dark days. We all have tough times. Hey, listen, I'm coming up October, 4 years sober, right? I medicated with booze. I dealt with things with booze. Behind the scenes, people, when they found out, they were like, "Oh my God, I know you like beer, but you didn't come across as an alcoholic." Well, there's many different versions and ways of being an alcoholic. So that's a whole different thing. But that's how I was dealing with my unhappiness, with the fact that deep down, I didn't feel I was being who I wanted to be. Deep down, I didn't feel I deserved to be that person. Right. And I think that's a super, super big thing for people to understand is that, no matter what you are, where you came from, what you may have done, right, who you are today, right, the past, leave it in the past and become who you want to become. Reset, restart, right? One of my favorite Japanese sayings or proverbs or whatever they call it, in Japan, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is to plant a tree is right now. So it's the same thing. Sit down and figure out what it is that you truly wish you were doing. What is it that you're really good at? What is it that when you look back on your day-to-day, your weekly, your monthly, your activity, what are the things that when you do these things make you happy? And when you sit there and catch yourself saying, I wish I could do more of this. Well, that's the stuff you need to be doing. That's where you need to direct your career. That's where you need to direct your business. That's where you need to direct yourself, right? That is your responsibility, right? That's up to you. No one's going to do that for you. Like I said, I was there and I know what those struggles are like. And I'll tell you right now, being in a much better place, I struggle every day not to fall back into that. That struggle is real and legitimate, right? If I feel myself getting tired, I have to stop and say, why am I getting tired? Am I just working too much? Okay, well, adjust a few things. Am I tired because I'm staying up way too fucking late and then sleeping in? Well, that totally is in my control to change. Am I tired because I haven't been exercising enough? Am I tired because I've got a lot on my plate and I need to take a few things off? Am I tired because I'm not exercising and eating right and doing the things I know I need to be doing? But the bottom line is, why am I tired? Solve that, right? And that's super important because when we get tired, when we get angry, when we get lonely, right? That is where we'll start to slip back into our old ways. That is when we'll start to medicate with, the negative things out there. Or what's a positive thing becomes a negative because we overindulge, because we like the immediate gratification that we feel good right now. Because I don't like the way I feel normally, so I do this kind of stuff, whether it's those, we talked about the booze or the food or the drugs or the sex or whatever it is. If we're doing it because we want to feel good right now to mask the pain of other things, it's the wrong thing to be doing. If we're doing it because we want to celebrate and we're happy and it's a positive thing and they're wonderful things to do, to share drinks with people, to have sex, all those positive things, we're doing it for the positive reasons and they're wonderful things to do. But it goes back to why are we doing it? And the excess, right? What is it we're trying to compensate for? That is what's going on. That's what we need to look at. For me, I want to keep moving forward. And, it's if I can go 2 steps forward with the odd step back once in a while, I think that's pretty damn good. And I think that's realistic, because life will never let you go completely forward all the time, right? It's going to push you back once in a while. But the determination to keep moving forward is what's super important. And by doing that, you keep improving. You keep getting further. You keep getting further away from what you're trying to get away from, the negativity. Build more positivity, so that even when you have a slip back, you're so far ahead of where you were, right? And so many good things are happening now, and you're in such a positive state that momentum itself will just carry you back forward again. But you have to fight for it. You have to know what it is. You have to decide what it is, and then you have to go after it every day, right? And then figure out at that point, are you moving forward? Are you happy with what's happening? Be honest with yourself. And if you're not being honest with yourself, none of this is going to work. If you're not holding yourself ultimately responsible, none of this is going to work. It's all about becoming the person you truly want to be. It's easy to blame others. It's easy to focus on the negative when things aren't going your way, right? But if you're truly working towards stuff, and you're truly working hard, and you're putting that effort in, and you're being consistent, those negative thoughts will change. Even when negative things happen to you, you'll think differently about why they're happening, right? That person isn't trying to screw you. You just didn't set up that deal properly, right? That car broke down, not because the car's a piece of shit, but because you didn't take care of it. You didn't do the maintenance on it, right? Or it's 12 years old, right? It's not fate after you. It's not the world coming after you. It's just there's specific reasons. So when you start looking at that and you start being honest with it, I know this is what I found for myself, then you start doing proactive things. Well, maybe I should have that car tuned up more often. Maybe I should make sure we stay on top of things. When there's a little thing happening, we get on top of it before it becomes a big thing. Well, look at that. Isn't that actually the way things are supposed to be? Isn't that what positive people do? Isn't that what successful people do? Is that they take care of the things that need to be taken care of when they need to be taken care of. That includes ourselves. That includes our careers, our jobs, our businesses, our families, our relationships. Right? Take care of it now. Think about it, right? Put the effort into it. At the end of the day, for me to become a better person, I've spent real time to work on it. I've stepped back. I've regrouped. I've pivoted. I've put the effort into it, and I will continue to do that. And as long as I continue to do that, I know that in my heart that I'm going to continue to improve. I know that all the things I want to do will happen and then some. And that's really the message I'm trying to get through to people that are stuck in the other end of it, is that I'm not doing anything that no one else can do. I don't have the set of talents that were just given to me by just genetic wonders and just, superpowers and stuff like none of that. None of that. In fact, I always say, especially at this point, if I can do what I'm doing, if I can do it, you can do it, and maybe better. Right? At the end of the day, that's the real magic. That's the big message, right? Is that, if you look at people that are getting shit done, it's not by accident. And all the stuff that you complain about and all the stuff that you say, yeah, but, they were in that position too at one time. They just got tired of it and wouldn't allow it anymore. And I think that is that brutal honesty where you sit there and say, I will no longer accept that for myself. You set your own personal standard. Thinking about what's important to me is my quest. All the time. Am I doing what I need to be doing? Determining my priorities is what's important. And then once I know what they are, then I have to work. I have to work my ass off towards my vision. Once I know what I have to do, the next thing that has to happen is I have to do it. It's almost like, and I think that's why a lot of times people will hide from this, because once you become aware of something, you're responsible for it, right? If you don't know something, I get it. But once you know that you should be doing certain things, then it's your responsibility to get it done. This whole I don't have time thing, it's bullshit. You just haven't made it a priority. It's not a big enough priority for you yet. So at the end of the day, right, you don't allocate the time and resources to it, but you have the time, right? Once you know what it is you have to do, you need to get tunnel vision. You need to get focused on it. You need to sit there and say, every day I'm going to spend an hour on my personal development. we talk about morning rituals. I had someone comment, Kurt, you're always talking about morning rituals. That's right. Because when I hammer out my morning rituals, shit gets done. Things happen. When I step away from it, when I move away from it, when I fade away from it, things slow down. Right? I'm not making it up. It's a fact. This shit works. Now there's even stuff where we're looking at not just a morning ritual, but an evening ritual where before we go to bed, we look at our day, we review it. What went well, what didn't go well, what are the things I need to deal with first thing tomorrow? And they get put down into your to-do list or your journal so that when you get up tomorrow and you start your day and you do your morning ritual, once you're done that, those are the first things you attack. Because by the end of the day, you have a better sense of what happened and what needs to be dealt with. But you're aware and you're responsible for that awareness. It's not enough to wish and hope. You have to act, and you have to act right. You have to do the right things. The further I distance myself from my old ways and the old me and my old way of thinking, right, the harder I have to work not to let myself slip back. So it becomes a quest. Think of it as a quest. We all like those movies where, the hero, something happens to him and, he gets tested and he has a failure, but then he has to go after it. He has to rescue that person. He has to complete that mission. And then he grows and he grows and he goes through all those trials and tribulations and becomes stronger for it to the point where he's successful. Dude, it's the same thing. This is what life is. Get excited about it. See yourself as the hero in your own movie. We talked about that before. Joe Rogan has a great talk on that. See yourself as your own hero in your own movie and get shit done. Get after it. But it's going to be hard work. But you know what? Not succeeding is hard, right? Sitting there and being unhappy is hard. So do the hard where you're going to get the most benefit from it, right? You got to break some habits, you got to create new ones, and you got to work towards it, right? And it's no more relevant now, than ever. It's more relevant now than ever. What I like to say is work hard, motherfuckers, because it really, really is it. If you want to make those changes, if you want to do what you really want to do, if you want to become the person you really want to be, you have to fucking work. But you know what? You can do it. I know you can do it, because if I can do it, any motherfucker can do it. Guys, be sure to leave us a 5-star rating, positive review at the end of this episode. It really helps us out. It moves us up in the charts. Right now, we're 474,000th out of 500,000. So we're climbing. We're screaming to the top. But again, guys, it helps us. It helps us be found, right? You know what this does? It helps other people find us when they're searching for podcasts. We become higher up in the searches and stuff like that. And that's really what I want to do. Is I just want to keep spreading this message. As I said, it empowers me because it's empowering you guys, and it becomes a great cycle of empowerment for everybody. And I really want to spread that message out. I want you guys to know that over 40, over 50, and beyond, we're not done. We're just getting started, right? That's what this is all about. Thanks for listening, guys. Head on over to Hostile Gear. Use the code Silverback to save 20%, and I'll talk to you guys later.